Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Well, what do I got here? This is supposedly a little HD camcorder. Look how little this box is. This is something I picked up off of eBay, and it is a scam, and I'll tell you why. It claims to be able to take 1080p video. Let's take a look at that product listing off eBay. That is a 1080p HD camcorder digital video camera with TFT display. That is true. 24 megapixel, yeah, right. And 16 zoom. What a joke. It only has 2x zoom. DV, AV, and probably the worst offense of all is the fact that they say it has night vision. Come on, night vision for $20? I paid 18 bucks. As you can see, it's around $22 now. This is an absolute joke. I'm certain you could also buy this on Wish and probably AliExpress. I just happened to have picked it up on eBay quite a long time ago, actually, to feature here on the channel and just not getting around to it. So let's go ahead and open it up. You guys can take a look at just how little this thing is. It is so light. I'll weigh it here in a moment too. I mean, look at that. What an absolute joke. There's just a little instruction manual in here that's also horrible. I mean, you need a magnifying glass just to read that. And then they give you a mini USB cable to connect in the back here, because there is a little spot here in the back where you can hook the mini USB up to access, I guess, the storage. You use a full-size SD card here in the bottom. And then it looks like they have a spot for maybe an AV wire, which they don't give you, to actually plug into the back of this little guy. But like I said, it takes a full-size SD card in here. I've tried several. I finally got one to work. It's actually a micro SD into an adapter. It just wasn't wanting to read all those cards that I was trying. But let's compare this to a full-size real camcorder that I have here, this Canon. You can see, I mean, this has a real lens here. If I can remember how to open this up, it's been a while since I've used it. I mean, look at that nice lens, and this is just a 1080p camera. Whereas compared to this one, you have this little pinhole camera. I mean, it's literally like a webcam you'd see on a laptop from probably 5 years ago. It's just absolute junk. It does have the little strap if your hand's small enough. I don't have the largest hands. Obviously, that will fit a kid's hand, but a lot of adults it won't. It says here 1280 by 720p video, but the listing says 1080p. You'll see, I'll put a media info screenshot up here right now from the video that I did film, but it actually films 1280 by 960 at 4:3 aspect ratio. So it's not HD, it's not widescreen, and it's not anywhere close to 1080p. You know, it's just an absolute joke. It says 16 megapixel, and hopefully this is showing up okay. The reflection here is going to be weird. I don't have the overhead light on for that very reason. 2-inch TFT. Without measuring it, that might be accurate diagonally, which is the way they usually measure this stuff. And 16x digital zoom. It has a 2x digital zoom, and that digital zoom only lets you get a 2x preview. It only works with photos. It does not work with video, and when you take the photos, the zoom that you did does not show up in the photo. It's just a preview is all it is. Again, scam, scam, scam. You do have a little spot for a tripod mount, but why in the world would you want to do that with this piece of junk? Let's put it on the scale just so I can give you guys an idea of the weight of this compared to a real one here. So this is, let's go to grams so we get a more standardized worldwide weight, not the imperial system. Let's put the Canon on here. This has a big bulky lithium ion battery, so that adds a lot of weight to it, but we've got basically 299 grams with that big battery. And this, which takes 3 AAA, I'll show you in a second where you put those in, this weighs 114 grams. So this weighs well less than half the real camcorder, and that's with the AAA batteries. There's a compartment back here that it goes in, and you put the 3 AAA batteries in there. Yeah, honestly, 3 AAA batteries are worth more than this camera. Again, it's just an absolute piece of junk. That if they were honest in the listing, no one would buy it. So they're lying about the abilities of it to try to get people to buy it, probably hoping that some people would just be too lazy to try to get a return, because it does literally nothing that it says that it does on the listing. And this listing is identical to the one that I purchased. They're using the same exact titles. I don't know why eBay is allowing that, because I could see it on Wish and maybe AliExpress, but I don't know why eBay is allowing these, because there has to be a lot of returns on this. So with the batteries in there, we can of course power it up now. And the SD card, I had troubles accessing like the menus for the video until I got an SD card and it was actually being read. Then I was able to. So you just hold this power button down on the top, and you got that identical to all your cheap action cameras and your dash cams that you see all over on eBay and Amazon and that. But this is way worse quality than any of the dash cams that I own or any action cam. I've never had an action camera that even was anywhere nearly as bad as this. So, you know, we're in photo mode now. You have your EV and the quality setting here, and it claims it's in 16 megapixel mode. This may not be showing up very well in my camera, but it always defaults to photo mode, and it always defaults to a -2 EV, which would be really reducing, you know, your exposure. So over here on the side, you have your OK and your directional pad and your zoom in and zoom out, which like I said was only 2 times. This is your menu and your mode. So we'll go into the menu here. So you got resolution set to 16 megapixel. I'll come back to that in a second. And then your quality is set to super fine right now. And exposure right now is at that -2. So we're going to go down to that, and we're going to change that. So press OK. I know my hand's going to get in the way because it's very difficult to get in here without blocking the TFT. But now we're up to the neutral or default 0, which most cameras are set at by default. And if you go back to resolution, when I tried taking photos at the 4032 by 4032, sort of like a square photo, those just come up 7 kilobytes, and their JPEGs are corrupted. They're obviously not the right file size. I didn't try 1440, but I did try the 5 megapixel 1080p, and that does take photos, which I'll show you guys right now. Take a couple photos here in the studio, and as you can see, they're awful. Color's not terrible, but the lack of detail, the photos are just super blurry, like they're running like a really powerful like smoothing filter to sort of remove any like artifacts, and it just makes the photos are just horrendous. And consider how bad that little lens is in there, obviously you wouldn't expect the photos to be very good anyway. So I imagine 720p will probably also work. So let's go ahead and get out of that. There's a date and time stamp, which I didn't even mess with changing, because why would I? I'm never going to use this. I'll probably stomp on it whenever I'm done. And then you can switch over your modes to your video mode. And now the video EV is at 0. I would imagine that's going to stay at -2, whatever you set the photos to. It claims we're in 1080p mode, and it has a timer over there and the little SD card symbol, and your battery meter, which I'm sure is not going to be very accurate. It says it's full. I know the batteries that I put in there are not brand new, but they're pretty good. So you can shoot video, and if you go into the modes here, let's go to the menu, I should say, and you can change the video resolution to 720p or 480. Well, it's already basically almost 720p. Now, I've not shot any video in the lower ones. Why would you? It's already horrible at the highest, but it claims that you're filming 1080p, which we know that you are not. So we'll go down here. You got cyclic recording, your exposure, and then that date, you know, the date timestamp, and that's it. So let's go ahead and get out of that. And that's pretty much it. It shoots at 1280 by 960 at 30 FPS. It does shoot 30 frames per second, but it's so awful, why would you even care? I mean, there's really not much else to discuss on this guy. It's just, there's no, as you saw in the menus, there's no night vision. There's no 16 times zoom. Whenever I was taking the photos that you guys just saw, the second or third photo I zoomed in here on my shelves of the RC cars, and the photo is just the same as like the one before because it doesn't take a picture of the zoomed in. It's just a zoomed in preview is all it gives you. So let's go ahead and now let's get to some of that sample footage I took here just filming. You can hear a mic test. The mic is, you know, it's bad, but it's actually a little better than I thought it would be, but it gets blown out really easily and then muffled as you'd expect, just holding it normal distance. So let's go ahead and get to that sample video, and then we'll come back and I'll wrap this video up. Alright guys, we're testing the mic in the video here. As you guys can see, this is not even 720p. They advertise 1080p in the listing. Of course, it's sticker on the side of the camcorder stuff is 720p. But it's actually recording at 1280 by 960, I believe it was, which is a 4:3 aspect ratio. So it's not even a widescreen. And really, really horrible. Like, let's zoom in here and let's see the zoom work. Let me try it again. Now, you can't even zoom while you're recording video. The zoom only works for the photos, which I already tried. It only does a 2x zoom. It advertised 16. But yeah, you can't zoom. The audio is, I mean, it's a little bit better than I expected, but it gets blown out. I'm holding this at a normal distance from my face, and you guys can hear it's really not good. It isn't quite as low as I expected it to be, is all I'm saying. But yeah, you're recording this at 1280 by 960 at a relatively low bit rate on this guy. It is recording at 30s, so that is actually decent. You know, I thought it might be 15 or 20. So anyway, just recording the studio here. It's dark out and it's really cruddy weather. So yeah, I mean, it says it's 1080p. You can change the resolution. It doesn't matter. You can't even get 720p. So yeah, that's enough of the video from this piece of junk. Alright guys, you saw that video. It's horrible. It's just awful. It doesn't matter what resolution. That lens, that sensor in there cannot record anything good enough to give you, I don't care if you could do 4K, it would still look like garbage. So at the end of the day, this is 100% a scam. These sellers should be ashamed of themselves for selling this, especially on a legitimate website like eBay. And eBay shouldn't be allowing this. It's just an absolute joke. Yes, you get what you pay for. $20, no, you can't expect much. I've seen $20 action cameras that are better than this. The point is, spend more money. If you think you're going to get a camcorder like this for $20, you couldn't find one used that's this quality for $20. Yeah, you get what you pay for, but don't fall for the product listing and the lying, because it doesn't have night vision, it doesn't have 16x zoom, and it can't do 1080p video. It's an absolute piece of junk that maybe if you gave it to a little kid just to play around and they can see the screen and record stuff, that's about the only use this thing would have. It has absolutely no purpose or no use to anything at all related to taking video or photo for anybody, because the quality is so bad. With smartphones now being in everyone's pocket, your smartphone camera is going to be a million times better. In fact, I'll take a photo here to show you a comparison of the shelf taken from my few-year-old Pixel 4a compared to this thing. Obviously, the Pixel costs $600+, but the point is we all have those in our pockets now. And even if you get a cheap old flip phone, the camera is going to be better than this. So at the end of the day, there's never going to be a reason to buy one of these. I'm just letting you guys know. That's why that sound we heard it going as auto power off, actually. That was the music would turn it off. But I want to let you guys see, you run across this, you see, think, hey man, this thing might be somewhat reasonable. I'm going to get a steal for $20. No, you're not. And you can see from this short video, the thing's an absolute piece of junk. All right, guys, if you like content like this, and you appreciate the effort I put into it, please consider subscribing and click that bell. That way you'll be notified every time I upload one of these videos. And as always, guys, have a wonderful day.